How's it going, everybody? Usually I don't really make videos about cosmetics, well, I did in the past, but very rarely. So let's make another exception today. Let's talk fashion. Well, to a degree. If you asked a random player what kind of cosmetics or customization they want more of, then the two answers you'll hear most of are probably armor and executions. The seasonally drop of new executions was probably the most anticipated each time. Ubisoft has gotten better at drip feeding us armor, and it seems like most players are somewhat content with the pace and what we're getting, but the moment we start to talk about executions, it quickly turns into yelling and complaining. And the reason for that is that we haven't gotten unique executions in what is literally years now. I tried giving explanations for this in the past, the most compelling one probably being that people buy the universal ones for multiple heroes. Ubisoft has all these stats, and spending behavior of players is a driving factor for these decisions. And even if it is roughly the same, you have to look at it in relation to the work that is needed to make them. It should be pretty clear to everyone by now. I am not excusing them cutting corners here. I don't know enough about how many steel packs are sold each time new executions drop. What I do know is that a ton of players are permanently broke and spend steel just as fast as it comes in. But we are reaching a point where even the more tolerant players start to get quite annoyed and vocal about it. So while overall each hero has access to more executions, it's all at the cost of uniqueness. This is especially apparent with new hero releases. Looking back at current Season 5 and previous Season 4, the 3 heroes released in that time period each have 4 unique executions. That's it. All others are available to all heroes. Compared to the old roster, they have upwards of 16 unique ones to their name. I am very much aware that this is an unfair comparison, starting from the age of the heroes up to the workload that is needed to supply an increasing roster with a unique execution each season. In short, more heroes equals more work. And factor in the game's popularity and player count, it just wasn't feasible to maintain this without lore in one site. A compromise had to be made somewhere, so either we only get executions less regularly, or the route that Ubi chose, we get universal ones but also at more regular intervals. Considering the outcry we would have gotten had they picked the first option, I think everyone can see why they went with the universal execution one. If you haven't done so before, open up a tweet from the official For Honor account and check the replies. The sheer degeneracy you see there without any actual reason, and now imagine this 20-fold had they delivered less executions all those years ago. But what I'm getting at here, Ubisoft, I think it's time to rethink this. We are at a point where the community is probably more than willing to wait a little longer if they get unique executions in exchange again. You probably have to throw in the usual event executions and give a proper explanation, but I'm sure the community will be understandable here. But let me suggest a few other things. Let's go back to the reused assets. I've made a whole video showcasing all of Kyoshin's moves that were, let's say, heavily influenced by existing attacks from other heroes. The video will pop up in the top right and I'll link to it at the end of this one, so feel free to check it out. Because a quite common reaction in the comments was that people didn't even realize a lot of attacks were just slightly altered moves. Ubisoft is getting better at recycling. Save the planet, kids. Why not apply this to executions? We know that things like emotes have been used to make attacks, so I'm sure Ubisoft can find enough assets out of signatures, emotes, parts of other executions and whatnot to build new ones. One thing that isn't being brought up nearly enough is that Ubisoft's games pretty much all share the Anvil engine. I don't understand nearly enough to say for sure, but it shouldn't be impossible to dip into animations from the Assassin's Creed series. I distinctly remember someone telling me that the Jormungandr hammer, the one from the event game modes that the jumping up and slamming into the ground, is a move from either Odyssey or Origin. Don't quote me on that though, I haven't played those titles. As long as the end product looks good, nobody will really care how it's been made. Well, there will be some that complain, but no matter what you do, people complain. And then the second suggestion, I've already made that one in another video, but let me repeat it here again. Make it fast executions. Make them short and snappy. Pretty much all executions that have been released over the past few seasons are long ones. 8+ seconds, sometimes even stretching to 12 and beyond. Nobody likes sitting in these animations and then waiting for the respawn timer to tick down and then having to run back to wherever your team needs you. We're looking at 40 plus seconds and even longer in Breach. This is a bit of a separate topic, but enough with these minute-long dances. And I also understand why universal executions aren't quick ones, because then you'd have everyone use that specific execution simply because it is the best in slot. For most heroes, the unique ones will be the shortest, at least that's what makes sense when you want to sell them. Style does its job, but efficiency isn't a factor too far behind when it comes to what executions a player buys. I know that a lot of this is wishful thinking on my and also on the community's part. What content will be released has been planned out for months ahead. Resources have been dedicated to specific things, and even if a dev team listens to their community, it's not that easy to pivot in another direction, at least not all the time. I also don't want to mention the COVID situation when it comes to motion capture, and you can find tons of articles, but without knowing the actual specific regulations, it's just speculation. It's also not just about the situation in that studio. Flying around the talent that you need to record these movements is also not that feasible most of the time. In the end, I don't know how big of an impact it truly had, or rather still has, so let's not get into it too much in the comments. But the complaints have been getting louder, and hopefully Ubisoft can address this issue in the future. I think the community will understand if given an explanation. So let's leave it at that. I hope the video was interesting. Thanks for watching. Laters everybody.
Beat him in a 1v1.
Yeah, we do. That's some beast shit.
Boost, boost, boost!
Then just do us.
One dead.
Is he? Oh,
He's on the floor.
permanent.
He's on the floor. Oh, he's not.
Oh, sad.
He's not on the floor.
Oh, I hit the fucking wall. I'm so sorry I couldn't faint that time. Momento de la retarde.
Longbow?
Sorry,
I
sorry.
would have long whipped it.
Never mind.
Did I make up for it?
I like how I killed that Goku. He tried to GP my kick.
I had to piss.
Kind of GP moment.